I
That's
think I
tough.
I think my favorite part of this game is that you think you need to specify for us which description is real and which one is fantasy, because the
What?
one of them is like there's this bridge that's really like it's a clean shape, and the other one is like beyond the Fey realm. It's like okay,
All right. Well, the first in our long line of prestigious games is the hit game show Reality or Fantasy. In this game, which is by my own creation, I will give my contestants the name of a thing as well as two competing descriptions of said thing. One of the descriptions will make it sound as if it is a thing from real life and exists on Earth, whereas the other will make it sound like that thing is from one of the many fantasy settings of Dungeons and Dragons. One of the descriptions is real, one of them was entirely made up by me. And the contestants have to suss out which is the truth and which is the lie. Is the thing from reality or from fantasy? To add to
Yeah.
that, I created about 50 of these prompts, and we're only going to see 10 today. I did create an equal amount of reality and fantasy, but I'm going to choose them via random number generator. So,
All right.
who knows what the distribution will be? It could be weighted more fantasy today or more reality. You won't be able to tell just by the distribution.
I also
Great.
don't know much about
We're
reality, so
when I was in fifth grade, I was really into like superheroes, comic books, and then once I was told that I was unable to discern fantasy from reality, so I think I'm starting at a disadvantage, and I wish to be compensated by shooting Ryan in the leg.
Oh boy. Okay, well, I cannot give you Ryan's shot leg, unfortunately. But I
This
can give
is
you the
great.
first guess on the first round.
Okay.
But the first one is Henry Paget. One option is the disgraced son of the Paget line, one of the 8 noble houses in the Protectorate. Henry makes a living as a private eye in Sharn, in the famous setting Eberron, helping his clients locate those that don't want to be found. On the side, he continues to investigate who framed him for embezzlement and had him removed from power. So that is the fantasy description. The reality description: a late 1800s aristocrat, the Marquis de Henry Paget, was obsessed with Jules' opulence photography, mostly of himself. He was described by his contemporaries as a sort of apparition, a tall, elegant, and bejeweled creature. And Nico, you claimed first round. That was your handicap.
Oh, that was okay. Well, I'm thinking Henry doesn't sound like a fantasy name,
Mm-hmm.
and embezzlement is kind of a pretty crazy crime to include in your fantasy world, but it is pretty fitting for Eberron.
Uh-huh.
Oh God, I really can't discern fantasy from reality. Um, but also, was photography really around in the 1800s? Was that like a thing
I
that
don't
people
know.
were doing? Like, were there I guess there must have been. Final answer, reality.
Reality. I see. Ryan, do you have an opinion?
oh boy. So okay, so I get it.
You
I
get
get to
your own
make a
answer.
choice.
This is not collaborative. This is competitive, baby. You earn 20 points each, and it's 20 points because I said so. And those points will definitely matter later.
Well, I'll play the odds on this one because I'm not sure at all, but I'll say Eberron. I'll say it's a fantasy.
Okay. So you're both saying what, or no, Nico said reality, Ryan said
Yep.
Eberron.
Yep.
It was reality. Henry Paget was a French nobleman who, if you look him up, he was a wild character.
Oh, I
Totally
gotta see this.
spent through the entire family fortune. Very fun time. All right. Our next entry is Lake Natron. First we'll do reality. A lake that, due to high levels of sodium bicarbonate, mummifies anything that dies in its waters, making them look like calcified statues. Despite this, it's a popular grazing ground for flamingos, leading to hundreds of flamingo statues littering the shallows of the lake.
Where did you say this took place?
Where did I say? That was the reality description.
Yeah, but like where geographically?
Oh, I didn't tell you.
Oh, okay.
You don't get to know. Don't worry about it. All right, next, Lake Natrone beckons with an ethereal allure that the inhabitants of nearby towns and villages warn about. This surreal landscape features towering crystalline formations that resemble exquisite sculptures of man and beast. The rumors say that any who enter the lake will be added to the ranks of these sculptures.
A lake where things are petrified seems like that is something that would happen in D&D. You know, like we got Medusas, we got what is it the weird chicken things?
Yep.
Cockatrice.
The cockatoos, the cockatrice. And so it seems like something that would be in D&D. However, if I was Megaphone Man,
What?
and I was looking for something, if I was looking for
Don't put yourself
something
in my
that
shoes.
is
No, thank you.
real, something that is real that I need to turn into D&D, a lake that transforms
Right.
things into stone things, that's something I would immediately put in as something that's real to try to trick me.
Mm-hmm. So you went meta one direction. My meta is Natrone feels like a name that, like, if I'm sitting here trying to think of names to put on my map, Natrone sounds like something I'd come up with. Like, I can imagine somebody doing that. Now, granted, that's where all names come from. I know. But it makes me
Who made that name up?
I'm gonna say fantasy again.
You're gonna say fantasy again.
Final answer. Regis.
Final answer. He's confident. Nico, are you as
Okay,
confident?
my final answer is going to be reality.
Oh, and unfortunately, Nico will take it again. They have both been real.
Man, this game really is intelligence based.
So is. I am so dumb.
All right. We will see. Hey, maybe this one is your round, Ryan.
Oh, don't pity me. I don't want that.
No,
I'm
there's
gonna
no
go
pity
down
here.
swinging.
I'm looking at
You're doing
this.
so
I think
good,
this is up
buddy.
your alley. I think this
Good
is.
try, bud.
Oh,
I think
makes
this
me so
is
much
for
angrier
you.
than losing. Yeah.
All
Being
right.
condescended to.
This one is Abramoch. Nestled in. This is the reality description first. Nestled in the Caradon region, Abramoch village is absolutely picturesque. The local artisans still blow glass in the traditional fashion and teach classes on their techniques to tourists passing through. For the more actively minded, the hiking trails in the mountains around Abramoch offer breathtaking vistas of the surrounding countryside. All right, now, the fantasy. This city, also known as the Mount of Leaping Flames, is the only city on the layer of Phlegathos in the Nine Hells. It is considered a pleasure palace and sports a wide variety of casinos, taverns, theaters, and other entertainment venues. Nico's face
it's
really froze on a really funny frame.
An idyllic, like village people settlement with blow glass and go on street hikes,
Yeah.
or Las Vegas.
Yeah, Las Vegas in hell. Yeah.
Hell, Las Vegas, which is just normal Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Right.
They're so complete opposites.
I'm gonna stick with my instincts and say fantasy again.
Do you think this is Satan Vegas?
Satan Vegas, yes.
Satan Vegas. Abramoch doesn't sound like an idyllic pastel village. So I'm gonna hit you with the fantasy.
You're going to hit me with the fantasy?
I'm gonna hit fantasy.
You are both
Final
correct.
answer.
It is Las Vegas in hell.
Yeah. What was it called again?
It was called Abramoch. So next is Tenebros. Now, description A, the fantasy. Known as the shadow that was, Tenebros is the remains of a minor death god, also named Tenebros, who was the vengeful ghost of murdered demon prince Orcus, who managed to survive, so to speak, when Orcus managed to resurrect himself. Or, reality, it's a bougie coffee shop down the street from my house.
See, it kind of took my joke because I was thinking it's like a lazier knockoff of Five Guys. That's what it's Tenebros.
Ten Bros.
Yes. So I mean,
Jeez.
is it though?
So
Brian,
it's
I'll let you
either
go
a coffee
first,
shop
'cause I
near
already know.
you,
Yeah.
or it's the remains of some awful demon.
Yes. Yes. The shadow that was is its nickname.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fantasy again because who would name a coffee shop that? That's a really tough
bad
sell
name.
to me.
Yeah.
Mhm. Either
Okay.
way, it's a bad name. Even if it's real, it's still a bad name.
You made a good attempt, Jack.
I did.
You made a good attempt.
To trick you?
Currently,
Uh-oh.
Tenebris is in my game on Patreon.
His coffee shop is in your game?
Yes, it
Why would you
is.
put that in? Oh no, I
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
I changed it. I heavily homebrewed it, but it is still in my game. So I'm gonna double down fantasy.
Okay, you are right. It is fantasy. I tried to trick you with a really short one. See if I could make a funny moment.
Brian, we should just work together to overthrow Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, seeing as how. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think
This is ours now.
Yeah.
dang it, I tested these on some friends and they did much worse than you two. But also neither of them are DMs on DM Live. They didn't deserve
Yeah.
the spot. Next one is Die Rokatsbruk. Is it either the reality? It is a man-made bridge. It is renowned for its incredible precision. The arch of the bridge, when viewed from right above the water, forms a perfect circle with its reflection. Due to this almost spooky accuracy, it has been nicknamed Devil's Bridge. Or, in the realm, this is the fantasy, in the realm of Elendor stands the mythical Rokatsbruk. Also known as the Fey Arch, legend has it that those who traverse the arch under the light of a full moon are granted an audience with the Fey.
Oh, that's
I think
tough.
I think my favorite part of this game is that you think you need to specify for us which description is real and which one is fantasy.
What?
Because the one of them is like, there's this bridge that's really like it's a clean shape, and the other one is like beyond the Fey realm. It's like, okay, context.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it might be confusing.
Yeah. I'm gonna. I mean, this sounds like the name of a real bridge to me. I'm gonna.
That's what I was thinking. It sounds German.
Die Rokatsbruk.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean towards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rokatsbruk.
So you're both locking reality?
I'm gonna lock fantasy because I want to make the game interesting.
I love it.
Already in the lead. What
Nico-
could go wrong?
Yeah, Nico
Yeah,
himself throwing for content because he was wrong. It was reality.
Wait, what?
Next is the very lovely named Blood Falls. Compared to the stark white of the surrounding snow, blood falls in
Is this
Antarctica.
fantasy or reality?
Oh, the one
My fault.
time I
That's
don't
my fault.
specify it.
I poisoned the well. Yeah.
Blood Falls in Antarctica is creepy to say the least. Dark red water gushes out of the ground here and spills across the landscape. There's nothing supernatural, however. Scientists have determined that the red coloring is just due to high levels of iron in the water. Or, this is the location of Lord Soth's first true massacre during the War of the Lance. At these waterfalls, a retinue from the Council of High Lords arrogantly stood against Lord Soth and his followers and paid the ultimate price. The location is still shunned by locals to this day.
It feels like it would be a tricky tourism destination.
Antarctica.
Well, like, I mean, I'm trying to imagine the T-shirts, the hats.
I see.
Yeah, the
I
blood
see.
falls.
I went to.
Yeah, when do you have the chance to coin blood falls as a phrase?
Oh, so you think it's unlikely because who's making merch of this?
I mean, the marketability for the
Right.
tourism board would not be.
Not nearly as good as Dairo Katzbruck. Right.
That's right.
No.
That one just.
I'm
I
gonna
mean, you can
go-
see that one in lights. Yeah.
Ah.
I have a soft spot for Lord Soth.
Mm,
He's one of my favorite villains.
okay. You know
I
more
haven't
about
had the
this than you
chance to
gave
use
yourself
him.
credit for.
I haven't had the chance to use Lord Soth yet, but I think it's really cool, and I think it's neat that he's like kind of like the right-hand man of Orcus.
Uh-huh.
And I like Orcus. I have a massive mini of Orcus. My mini collection is not nearly as impressive as Ryan's.
I would have
But
never used a Tenebros if I known you were an Orcus guy. Shit.
I'm gonna go with fantasy on this one just because I like Lord Soth.
Okay.
Final answer.
Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
fantasy for me too.
Oh, I finally got both of you. This is in Antarctica, baby.
You're telling me
Wow.
some researcher in Antarctica saw like the blood red water and immediately didn't just run right back to their outpost and leave forever? If I was in Antarctica, the first sign of trouble, I'd be out of there. I've seen what is it, the
Right.
Thing? I've seen that. I
Yeah.
know what's going on.
Next, we have Storm Silverhand. Known as the Mother of Kings in Viking Age Norway, Gunhildr, translated to Storm, commanded and led dozens, if not hundreds, of Viking invasions into the British Isles. Or, the infamous Bard of Shadowdale, Storm is known for her stalwart defense of many cities throughout Faerun, and as well as personally restoring the works of legendary bard Finder Wyvernspurn.
I feel like Silverhand's one of those names.
I do too, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean by one of those names. I feel like that
Smells like fantasy. No, like a fantasy, like it's a name that I've
Yeah.
heard. But I think, as much as I say that, it may.
Silverhand also sounds like the name of a Viking who always has
Oh,
silver
for
in his
sure.
hand.
Yeah, I might be thinking of a different name. So but I briefly dug into Waterdeep lore for a game that it was a custom game, but I was setting it in Waterdeep,
Mhm.
and it wasn't Silverhand, but there's Silver something. I think was like a name, like one of the lords or something like that. So it might be I might be confusing things. So maybe it's real.
I am
gonna-
descended from Vikings, so
Yeah,
I'm going to go with reality because I must represent.
Mhm.
At the risk of handing off another total whiff on our part, I'll go reality as well.
But if you're going reality, I want to go fantasy. Come on.
You wanted to go fantasy?
If Ryan's going reality, I'm going fantasy.
Oh, I
That's
see.
smart.
You
Then
don't
he
want to
doesn't get
risk
any-
the
okay.
whiff.
Yeah.
I see.
I'll take the reality hit. I'll take it. You can have fantasy.
All right. It was a hit indeed because it is fantasy.
I remember my gambit worked. My
You did.
gambit
You
worked.
twisted it on me.
I got you with
You
the
really, you
reverser.
waited for him to go just so that you could sneak
Yes.
one in.
Because there is someone named Silverhand in Waterdeep, and you were right. You were right all
Damn
along,
it.
Ryan.
What? I thought we were collaborating here. Where'd that go? All right.
Oh no!
I need to
that's
go
right.
As
fourth
soon
level
as
on
I
this.
started getting in the lead, that's where it went.
Okay.
It is currently
All right.
5-3. So it is. But you have a chance to come back, Ryan. You have a chance. Well, this one might be my toughest one yet. Or not, I don't know. It's really hard to judge them myself. This one is the Adventurer Mart. A shop on Joaquin's Promenade. It mostly caters to adventurers looking to buy magical items and weapons. They even sold magical scrolls in defiance of the cowled wizards. Or A famous and frequent pop-up stand, Adventurer Mart can be found at medieval times, Renaissance fairs, and many other fantasy-themed events, selling props and costume items to attendees.
Shit. You're really riding that line on this one because it's either fantasy or pretend fantasy, which is also fantasy.
No.
You've been called out. You've been told out.
In the reality of this, it's an LLC. It's registered. It's
most of these names are also trademarks, just to be clear.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding with you. I'm gonna say this being at a run fair makes total sense. I'm gonna say reality.
Okay. Oh, are you regretting committing to switching, Nico?
Howled Wizard sounds like something ChatGPT would write, which is how I'm assuming you're filling in some of these gaps.
Go ahead, maybe.
The Howled Wizards. That is 100%.
I won't hold you to it. I won't hold you to it.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
But that sounds like something ChatGPT would write. So I would love to go fantasy, but I'm sticking. I would love to go reality, but I'm sticking to my promise because I'm a man of honor and I'm going to go fantasy.
Oh boy. That promise is working out for you because this is from the D&D setting Baldur's Gate. It is from the video game Baldur's Gate 1.
Holy cow.
It is the Adventurer Mart.
That is so lame.
You can have that. That's such a cursed point. You can have it. That whole idea.
I was just scrolling through wikis. I found that. I was like, ooh, that's the one.
That is so lame.
So if it sounds like ChatGPT wrote it, it's because Wizards of the Coast wrote it. And there are 2 left. Unfortunately, Ryan, there's no way that you can come back for this game. But these points will transfer into our next game, so it's still important to get as many as possible.
Oh, I'm trying. No, to be clear. I appreciate you clarifying that.
All right. Well, we'll do the next one, which just so happens to reference Baldur's Gate. The Council of Four. The 4 Grand Dukes who rule Baldur's Gates since its famous tax revolt. The council served as a member of the Lord's Alliance, which also included Waterdeep and Silvery Moon. Or is the Council of Four the self-given nickname to the 4 creators of the first edition of D&D? Gary Gygax, Ray Rodriguez, Tim Miller, and Dave Arneson. This council would eventually become just 2 during the creation of AD&D, after Rodriguez and Miller left the development team due to creative disputes with Gygax and Arneson. Oh, this is the.
I mean, it sounds like something they would call themselves.
That is some nerd shit.
Or is it something I would call them?
Serious nerd.
I think I usually I reason myself into all the wrong choices, but here's my thought process. It seems like all of my ideas are wrong.
Sure.
So keep that in mind. It sounds Council of Four being them makes more. I feel like if there was a council number in fantasy, it wouldn't be only 4. It'd be 5. It'd be 6. It'd be 8. Council of Four sounds too small for a council, so I'm gonna go reality.
Okay. Now, Nico,
that's some really good reasoning.
You can keep.
That's really smart.
You can keep going the counter pick, or you could keep your lead if you think that Ryan's right.
I think this is a trick answer. I think it's both. I think what you said about that's the Gygax and his buddies. I think that's true. And then the people who wrote Baldur's Gate were paying homage to the creators of D&D and put a Council of Four in Baldur's Gate.
That's a super fun answer and not acceptable. One of them is fake. But that was a fun monologue. I loved that.
I mean, that would have been great if you were right, yeah.
Yeah, if you were right and you just binked that, holy, that would have been cool.
I'm gonna
Still would
say
have only been
fantasy.
1 point, but
You're gonna say fantasy, and Ryan, your reality.
Fantasy.
Saying reality, yep.
Ryan, you do keep reasoning yourself out of the right answer because it is fantasy.
Why is Baldur's Gate so poorly written?
Maybe I should have reconvinced myself back into it being the answer because it doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
No, that was such a good.
Yeah, we're just learning all about the Baldur's Gate lore, and then we'll all go and play Baldur's Gate 3 when it comes out, and just have a grand old time.
I should do one of those videos about Descent into Avernus, because apparently there's a wealth of poorly written content in Baldur's Gate.
Potentially. All right. The last
7-3.
one.
Good game.
Yeah, it's the last one. We're not done yet.
Oh.
Okay.
We've got one more. It is Cthulhu. Now, is Cthulhu a member of the pantheon on Mazteca? Cthulhu is the father of the other gods. He was the god of the stars and the husband of the goddess Mazteca, the namesake of the continent. Or, daughter of Genghis Khan, Cthulhu was a warrior in her own right and assisted her father in his campaigns. She had many after her hand in marriage, but she insisted that whoever married her must first defeat her in a wrestling match. Cthulhu wagered horses with her would-be suitors. All right, go with your gut. Don't let...
My gut's been wrong every time. I've gone with my gut.
Yeah. Determine your actual answer and then just flip it.
And then you flip it.
I know what I
times.
want to go with.
You go then. You go first.
Oh, that's true, Nico.
Given that Mazteca, Tutulun, it sounds like Tenochtitlan, which is like South American. I'm getting South American vibes from like Mazteca. Sounds like the Toltec or the Toltecs.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It is the in the Forgotten Realms. It is the homeland of the Tabaxi.
Yeah, I'm getting South American pre-colonial vibes, and I know after running a South American style game that there's not a lot of content for that. And Genghis Khan had a lot of kids, so there's there's a lot of possibilities there. I'm gonna go with reality. Final answers. Submitted.
And just to cover our bases, I'll go fantasy.
Oh, Ryan, it's so disappointing. It's reality.
So just a quick victory lap around Ryan before we move on to the next segment.
Well, here's what twists it though, because especially if you're going back that far with stuff, like there's a lot of old content written for D&D that does not really modify a lot of names that they're referencing very, very much. So I went down the line. You went, Nico, but thought, like, yeah, this is just like bad, like 30-year-old adventure writing.
So,
yeah.
The god that I was referencing in the fantasy description does exist, and his name is like Catalan, not Cthulhu.
Okay. Gotcha.
So it was very close. It was deceptive. It was purposefully tricky, some might say.
No, that's good
Victory
question.
drink right here.
That's a victory drink. At the end of our first round, we have Nico with 8. Each of those answers was worth 20 points, leaving him with a solid 160 going into our second game, with Ryan trailing at a still respectable 60 points.
All right. Great stream, guys.
No. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please check out my contestants, Dice Brain and Ryan Immel DM. They were both amazing for this. If you want to see the full video, the VOD is on my channel. It was live streamed. And speaking of live, if you're watching this in the first few hours since I posted it, I am live right now. Go check out my channel page. It should be right on the front, and I hope to see you there.